Hey guys, it's your girl Sarah. Today we're going to talk about sustainability science. We're going to focus on ways to help the environment through business techniques and everyday lifestyle choices.
Hey guys, it's your girl Paulette. Now today we're going to talk about dedication. More importantly, believing in what you do and working hard for it.
Hey guys, it's your boy Johnny. Now we're going to talk about politics today. And by that, I mean specifically the efficiency of government and how it's run.
During the process of completing this assignment, we as a group were able to take away some valuable lessons, one of which was adaptability. There were moments when we had to work on our project outside of the agreed upon meeting times because of a heavier workload than we anticipated. We were able to overcome minor obstacles that arose in the process of completing the assignment. We had to stay open-minded and flexible while trying to come up with complex questions. One of our most challenging points was the process of coming up with the questions because we tried to go into the project close-minded. We soon, however, were able to turn the creative sides of our brains on and be more open to other similar topics that made more sense than the primary ones we had come up with when we had originally been brainstorming. We found it easy to find connections between each of our passions when looking at them through a very broad lens. Between dedication and sustainability science, we thought about how working in any job dealing with the environment in this country is like being a teacher. You have to be extremely passionate about what you're doing and not be in it for the money, but rather to inform the general public about the problems and inspire them to become part of the solution. So it was obvious that passion was the common denominator. When looking at dedication in politics, we were reminded of how every politician has a stance on current events, whether it's about moral values or the environment. Their voice serves as a platform for change. Living in a large country like the United States, it's important to be your own voice and to make your own voice be heard. Politicians take their beliefs and knowledge and become advocates for the change they envision. Finally, when trying to connect sustainability science to politics, we quickly realized that they both have an influence on each other. Under politics lies the government, and the government is supposed to utilize the reports given by environmental scientists to make new policies that would benefit the earth as a whole. But when it came down to it, we realized that between all three passions there was one common ground: climate change, and within that, government jobs and the Paris Agreement.
The government itself has a huge impact on the way a country addresses climate change issues. After discussing the connections between our passions, we started talking about the things we wanted to learn more about and began our research on current controversial events associated with each of our topics. For example, we wanted to learn more about who was involved in the Paris Agreement and what prompted it, which led us to a smaller yet slightly more complicated question: what exactly is global warming? Although it seems like a simple question to research, finding an exact definition was extremely difficult.
We visited many websites, but none of them provided as clear of a definition as the Natural Resources Defense Council did. The NRDC is a group of attorneys and scientists who fight to protect Earth's land and water from the effects of different pollutants. They define global warming as the fast increase of the average global temperature over the past 50 years. The average global temperature is made up of a collection of the temperature of the surface of the Earth in various points around the globe. These measurements are recorded each year and compared with each other to determine which places are hotter than they were and how it affects the whole world as a whole. But what is it that causes these temperatures to increase? Well, as we read on, we learn that global warming occurs when carbon dioxide and other air pollutants and greenhouse gases collect in the atmosphere and absorb sunlight and solar radiation. These pollutants basically sit heavy in the atmosphere and trap any heat reflecting off the Earth's surface that would normally go back into outer space, causing the Earth to get warmer.
We found an article that talked about the global temperature increase from the year 1910 to now, and even predicting the change up to 2020. It states that since 1901, the planet's surface has warmed by 0.7 to 0.9 degrees Celsius, or 1.3 to 1.6 degrees Fahrenheit per century, but the rate of warming has nearly doubled since 1975 to 1.5 to 1.8 degrees Celsius, or 2.7 to 3.2 degrees Fahrenheit per century, according to the International State of the Climate in 2017 report.
Witnessing all this change, the United Nations got together and, with Paris in the lead, signed the Paris Agreement. This agreement would place a goal of limiting emissions within the countries and therefore working towards the bigger goal of getting the global temperature increase to be less than 2 degrees Celsius this century. Each participating country would have to regularly report their emissions and implementation efforts. The agreement also emphasizes helping the countries with less resources in managing their contribution to the global climate change.
So why should we care?
Well, humans are actually one of the biggest contributors to carbon dioxide production. How, you might ask? Well, think about it. What do you use to fill up your gas tank? Do you put beauty products in your hair? What are most of your groceries packaged in? Is the stove in your home gas or electric powered? Do you service your car regularly to prevent excessive gas demands? It's all the small things that we really don't think about on a day-to-day basis. Even though they seem pretty insignificant to one person, imagine multiplying the same action by the billions of people that inhabit the Earth.
Global warming is linked to extreme weather. The hotter the average global temperature, the hotter heat waves we will experience, and the higher the ocean temperatures will rise. That is a huge danger in itself. When water temperatures rise, any tropical storm that forms can quickly increase in category, causing mass destruction, like we saw in Puerto Rico with Hurricane Maria and in Charleston with Florence.
This research sparked our interest in the different ways we can personally contribute, primarily how we can actually be working in careers involving the environment. Also, what impact does the current and previous administration's beliefs have on the roles these careers play? Does it inhibit any progress or limit any funds? Before exploring the different jobs, we took a step back and looked at what the current administration's stance is on the global warming crisis.
Well, the first obvious thing is that the current administration has decided to pull the United States out of the Paris Agreement. President Donald J. Trump has had different views on the issue in the previous years and has successfully communicated them through social media. Amongst many of his outbursts, these two stood out the most. The concept of global warming was created by and for the Chinese in order to make the U.S. manufacturing non-competitive. And this one. Brutal and extended cold blasts could shatter all records. Whatever happened to global warming? Once, when asked in an interview about the ice caps melting, he stated that you don't know whether that would have happened with or without man, and mentioning that even the scientists have a political stance, once again emphasizing his belief that any belief other than the one of his corresponding political party is not reliable.
Going back to earlier presidents, George W. Bush made it obvious that the White House wasn't going to focus on climate change issues as ones that required immediate attention. It was also noted by a Clinton administration appointee to the Office of Science and Technology Policy, who also served during the first year of the Bush administration, that science was kept out of the process of policymaking on the topic of climate change. It also states that the EPA wasn't even invited to the White House when these policies were being made.
Former President Barack Obama presented a plan in 2013 set out to combat climate change. Within this plan, it states that it directs agencies to support local investments to help vulnerable communities become more resilient to the effects of global warming. Establishment of flood risk reduction standards in the Hurricane Sandy affected region. It will work with the healthcare industry to create sustainable, resilient hospitals. The distribution of science-based information for farmers, ranchers, and landowners. Establishment of the National Drought Resilience Partnership to make rangelands less vulnerable to catastrophic fires. Climate Data Initiative will provide information for state, local, and private sector leaders, and many other ideas that would actually benefit the environment.
The truth of the matter is that no matter what political party you fall under, the Earth is still suffering from the effects of the global temperature increase, and we need to make that one of the country's priorities. So, what can we do?
Well, when we looked into the different types of jobs available in the Environmental and Sustainability Science Department, we came across a wide variety of lists. Conservation scientist and forester, solar photovoltaic installers, hydrologist, environmental engineer, landscape architect, environmental lawyer, environmental scientist, wind turbine technician, energy auditor, wildlife biologist, environment protection technician. The possibilities are endless.
But you don't have to be working in an environmentally friendly job to make a difference. You can make a difference from the comfort of your own home.
One of the ways you can contribute is by making eco-friendly decisions in your everyday life. purchasing less prepackaged groceries by going to local fresh markets, air drying your clothes to save energy, using public transportation or biking to get to places, and recycling as much as you can using the food waste to make compost for you or your neighbor's garden. We can all help make a change in our environment, even when it's a change you may feel is minuscule. Every bit counts.
So go out there and make a change for the future of our Earth, because it's the only home we have.